Um, so we're carrying on if you want to carry on with the glass and shiny objects project, you're very welcome to. These were some of the demos I started last week. I've actually got one of my boxes of glassware, so I've only got a few bits, but there are lots of bits of glass in the kitchen cupboard, things like glasses and jugs and stuff like that. So yeah, there's plenty there, I think. And what you could do is add something in, like maybe something shiny, like some cutlery or bottles, something like that. So I think you can make quite an interesting, still life or setup. Last week I was encouraging you to perhaps just try a single object, but you could maybe work it up into something. And the nice thing about working from life is you get to create your own paintings right from scratch. You're not just relying on pictures, or in many cases other people's pictures. So it's the whole sort of thing. So what I also want to talk about a little bit, so I'm not sure I'll do a demo today. What I might just do is just talk about. I wanted to think a bit about planning, and planning in lots of different ways. So I'm thinking about towards next year, any projects that we might want to cover next year. So that's more the long-term planning. In the short-term planning, thinking partly about materials and also the next projects in the next coming up soon. I'm not sure quite how to organise this, but the projects for the next couple of months. One will be lino printing at one point or another. What I'm planning to do is do one group 1 month, and my lead class is the other month. And I can't remember which way around I've done it, but yeah, that's how it will be. So what I thought I'd do, last year we did some lino printing, but part of the problem was I tried to teach it alongside another subject, and I didn't feel like it went that well. I felt like I was trying to get too much across in the session. So I thought, well, I'll just focus on the lino printing whenever I decide to do it. And then if you want to go with that, that's great. If you want to do something else, own project or another project, then that's absolutely fine. Just go your own way with that particular one. Then I'll come around. Obviously, I'll come around and work with you all individually anyway. I thought that'd be a better way of teaching. All good with that? Yeah. So, in terms of the lino printing, what I did last year, which did work quite well, was to get in some of the soft cut lino. So it's not traditional lino, but it's the soft cut stuff that I can get from. I'll get stuff from this catalogue, C White, and they are an educational supplier, and I've got an account with these, so it means I can get wholesale prices. So I do have to pay the prices in the catalogue. I have to put a VAT on top of that because they charge VAT. So these are without the VAT. But I basically, when I'm selling stuff to you, it's basically this plus a couple of pence to round it up. So I'm not dealing with pennies too much. But if anybody did want to do the lino project and wanted me to get some lino in, I can do that. With this account, I do need to spend about 120 quid at a time. So I tend to get a few different things in. So some of the things I tend to get these disposable pallets, I'll be getting some of these in because I'm actually running out of these myself. I can get A4 size or A3 size painting boards, or I can get canvases if people want canvases. I did try these. These are water mixable oil paints, and they're not, I would say that they're not as good as Winsor & Newton, but they're an awful lot cheaper. So if anybody, well, there's actually a set there if anybody wants a set. And I've got another set. I get various sketchbooks in, so these are fairly, nice, inexpensive sketchbooks. Basically the A4. I use a lot of this size myself, the A5 size. So I tend to have one of these in my rucksack when I go out painting. It's just handy for any kind of quick sketches I want to do. So I get those in. The other ones I can get in are these are quite a nice little one for things like watercolours or, and they're nice kind of colour-y type sketchbook. Get them a little bit bigger. These ones I've never tried before, but I got these last time I ordered materials. And these are, I normally use this one, which I still like. So this is a tones paper. Which, you know, I do quite a lot of these, you know, like watercolours or tone sketches on those. So these are really good. This one is a bit lighter to carry around. It's thinner paper and it's a bit lighter. This is a bit thicker paper if you want something a bit stronger. But these I've tried, and I quite like to use these. You know, be good for sort of sketches. You could then cut some lights and darks on them. Most of these I've just done line drawings, but so they're quite nice sketchbook if you want things like that. I just thought I might as well just show you the range of what I tend to buy. There's lots of stuff available. These fine liner pens I get from there, and again I can kind of getting them at cost price. Brushes. These I've always been getting these sort of cheap sables, and I've sold a lot of these on to students. And these are really, they're nice because they come to a nice point, and they're good for little details and things like that. So I'll probably get some of those in. These ones I've never tried these before. They're like a kind of gold and synthetic. Fair bit cheaper. They're not, I would say they're not quite as good as the best quality brushes. In the shape is lovely when you start, but my sort of experience was that they didn't last quite as well. They sort of lost their shape probably a little bit quicker than some brushes. But, you know, probably about a quarter the price of the ones, you know, these are maybe a couple of quid, a quid or a couple of quid, whereas the other ones are costing me maybe 5 to 10 quid sort of thing. So, you know, the better quality. So they're the sort of things I can get in. Again, similar sort of things with bristle brushes. You can kind of get the bristle brushes. These are quite nice. I particularly like these more on canvas. I find a bit scratching on boards, but I've always used some bristle brushes. They're quite nice. So I just thought I'd show you some of the range of the stuff that I do get on regularly. And if you wanted anything in particular, it's useful to get a bit of a heads up. The other thing is the watercolour paper that I buy in and sell that on. I'm pretty much out of that, and I'm pretty much out of palette, so that's part of the reason I need to get some more stuff in. But if there are particular things, or if you want to have a look at the catalogue, that's the sort of range of what they do in there. So if you want to have a look through there. Yeah, so that's that. What else I bought? I brought these couple of books that I bought this year that I'm going to have a little read of. Bedtime reading before I start teaching the lino. So, yeah, come and have a look at that. What else?
It's good for your brain though to learn something new, isn't it? If you're old like me.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Good for your brain.
Yeah, definitely good for your brain. Yeah. But it's quite nice. I think one of the students in the afternoon class might have that one because she was doing a project at that. Basically, I won a prize. Earlier in the year, I won 175 quid's worth of book vouchers. So I bought loads of books, and then my family bought loads of books for themselves as well. Yeah, I did. It was a painting exhibition up in Nottingham. So I bought a few new books that I thought would be useful for class. The other thing I was thinking, so that's, I'm basically looking for, so that's kind of the materials I regularly get. And if you are interested in, or you want me to get anything particular in, or you're interested in, say, taking part in the lino printing project, let me know. If you do want me to get lino in, let me know. So planning for classes, any ideas, we can stick down on there. The other idea was, I've had a few students ask me about art holidays, painting holidays, and I've kind of led a few painting holidays in the past for different companies. And then I kind of gave it, I sort of got, they went by the wayside basically. I think some of the companies went out of business, but I found that I wasn't getting that many students interested, so I didn't really push it. But again, it is something that if it's quite a while since I've done that. If anybody is interested in, finding out a bit more about art holidays, or would be interested if I did decide to take something on. There's probably lots of different possibilities with holidays. There's a lot of companies that organise them in various places in Britain and Europe and all over the world. I have been employed by those sort of companies before. Also in the past, we did a sort of painting holiday in Southwold once, where I just did teaching in Southwold, and the students just sorted out their own accommodation for the weekend. So it was a very short break. So there's lots of different options if anybody was interested. And if there are enough people interested, I'm quite happy to sort of plan something for next year, because now would be the time to start planning, if I was to do anything like that. But so if you are interested, or think you might be like to know a bit more about it, about the different options, just let me know. We'll make a list here. There's sort of absolutely no commitment whatsoever about it, but I don't want to sort of pester everybody with loads of our holiday information if you're not interested, via the emails. Does that sound okay? Yeah. Good. Right. So what I'll do is just a very quick recap in case anybody was away last week. So last week, watercolours and sort of glassware, and as I say, I've forgotten some of the glassware, but there is plenty in the tablet there. And to create a little still life, I basically started with a bit of drawing, using like a centre line and then a cross to get these nice ellipses. So I found that a nice way of just getting everything central. What you could do, another thing if you're working anything from life, is the measuring sort of technique. And you can basically, what I would do is measure by closing one eye, and you stretch your arm out, and then basically what I'm doing is lining that end of the pencil up with this side here, and then I basically just adjust my thumb until I'm seeing the other side. So that's basically, if I'm standing here, that's how wide that would appear at arm's length. And then if I'm drawing at arm's length, I can transfer that over. So I can literally just transfer that measurement. And that's, if you're not used to drawing from life, not used to measuring, it's a really useful technique. When I work, when I go out tomorrow, I'm definitely bound to be doing some measuring somewhere. Quite often I'll just do it all by eye, but every now and then I'll think, well, how wide is that? Maybe compare the width to the height. So what I can do is hold that width and then think, well, that goes into about twice. So that there, if I compare that to the height, that's about twice. So even just a very simple measurement like that can be really useful for just getting things in proportion. I could see how wide the glass is, and then compare that to the width of the bottle or the can. And it's a bit narrower. I mean, this is actually different glass, but probably if that's the width of the can, the glasses come to about there. So I could then just use that and compare that. So that if you're working from life, can be a really useful thing to do. Yep.
Does it come out the same size that you're trying to copy as when you're trying to copy it?
Yeah.
The same size,
It can do. Yeah.
Do it as like that. Yeah.
In some ways, that's the easiest way to do it, is to do it what they call sight size.
Yeah.
So that whatever I'm measuring here, if I'm measuring this little bottle here, that will be the width. I'll draw it, and then the height of it, that will be that. So you're literally drawing as it appears. Another way is what I call kind of proportional measuring. So with something like that, so there's two ways of doing it. So you could either, as I say, measure exactly and draw exactly. Or if you wanted, you could measure exactly and draw exactly twice. You could double it up. So that's using that exact measurement and doubling it up, or whatever. Another way is what I call proportional measuring. So if I was drawing the pear, if I was drawing the whole still line, I might think, well, I want the pear to be that big. So you're already stating, how big it's going to be. So I could measure maybe the width of the pear, and then see how it compares to the length. And it's about, this you just kind of got to do it a little bit by eye to start with. So that would fit in about twice. So that's actually too wide. It needs to be about twice. So it's almost like that's kind of what I'm seeing the pear. So that's my measurement for the pear, and then I could compare that to, say, say, the bottle in the background. And the bottle, or this can, comes out just a little bit less than 2 pairs. So, just checking that, that's one, 2. So I'm basically sort of holding that measurement, trying to remember where it comes up to, and then going up again. So in this case, I've got my can here, this measurement I need to fit in, I've made it a bit too big really, but it would sort of come up here, it would come in at just under 2 pairs. So you're basically picking something as a unit of measurement and then just comparing everything else to that. So in the past, I've done pictures where I've maybe done a street scene like this, and I picked a little building in the distance, and I've measured how many buildings across that way, how many across that way, how many up. You just pick one thing and you compare everything else to it. And you could do that with your photos if you wanted, or if you're working from life. But it's, so there's two approaches to it, sort of comparative measurement. Is that okay? Yep. Right, okay, well, I'll let you crack on. As I say, any ideas for classes next year, pop them on there. If anybody wants any particular materials, just let me know. Have a look at the catalogue. And if anybody's thinking that an art holiday might be of interest, possibly, there's another bit of paper for that. Okay. Somewhere, I'll find it. Right, okay, I'll let you crack on.